While I appreciate that writing groups do not work for everyone, I'm grateful for the ongoing support and constructive feedback I get from being part of the 11th Floor Writers, a writing group I co-founded in 2007. Of all the benefits that I've reaped over the past 13 years, the following three remain most valuable to me. The group has helped me better understand my writing goals and needs. Getting feedback is absolutely critical as a writer. I value feedback that can strengthen my work. My writing skills have also been further developed by critically examining other people's works and trying to provide meaningful and constructive feedback. Built-in monthly deadlines has helped keep me a disciplined writer. Like many writers, I have a full-time job and lots of family responsibilities. Because the writing group meets regularly once a month, I have built-in deadlines that I need to meet, which is a great motivator if I'm staring at a blank page and struggling to get started. Sense of belonging, the importance of being part of a writer's community. Connecting with other writers has become very important to me as I evolve in this craft. Fellow writers who believe in each other and encourage each other to forge ahead is especially important when we become unmotivated or uninspired to write. As a group, we have hosted mentoring events, published an anthology, and held public readings. We also support each other by attending members' book launches and other events.
So I did the introduction to creative writing at the University of Toronto School of Creative Writing in continuing ed, almost 13 years ago. It's been a while. And in that program, I met a couple of students who were fellow writers who were interested in supporting one another beyond the scope of the course. Because in the course, it's awesome. You get all the support from the person teaching the course as well as your colleagues. But when it ends, so does the support. There isn't an ongoing basis for that. So in a conversation with CHOI, my colleague and now friend, we thought we would like to try to start our own creative writing group. And in the beginning, we had no idea how to do that or what it would look like. We just knew that we were interested. And what we did is we started to ask writers we met in that course and other courses. And that's how the 11th Floor Writers was born. I've seen the difference in my writing as a result of having a core group of editors every month. But I've also, almost every time I read a good book, or I always read the foreword, I always read the credits, and I can't tell you how many times the writer has acknowledged the support of other writers in their process. And so I'm a firm believer, because for me, it does two really important things. It has me keep writing, but it also has me really listen to the majority edits. So for example, if there are 10 people who read our 8 or 10, 8's a good size group, but if 8 people all tell me, you know, you should work on this one aspect of what you've just written, I look at it really seriously. Now, if 7 people say, and one person is a dissenter, I'll be like, I'm gonna really consider that the majority has offered some support. But in addition to that, it gives you deadlines. It has you continuing to write. And I think one of the skills I've really acquired in the last 10 years, I'd say, is the ability to edit as well. When I see someone else's work, it's really clear to me what's working and what needs some tweaking or adjusting. And that in turn also helps me with my own work, because you begin, the skill sets overlap. And so my writing style has become clearer and cleaner, and I feel more confident as well, because when I look back at what I wrote 10 years ago, I can't believe that, you know, as a fledgling writer, I'm like, oh, that was terrible. And I can see the growth. So it's been a really great process. I think one of the biggest challenges in being in a writing group is holding the group, having your group stay as a cohesive core. And then it's selecting writers to come in that are compatible with the group is part of the challenge. For me, sometimes it's also keeping a balance of different points of view, whether those are by gender or culture. It makes a difference. Like, it's really helpful to not go into a writing group that has one viewpoint. And so those can be some of the challenges. And I'm just going to give you one example. I remember once I was writing something that would definitely be for a female audience, would be of a higher appreciation of it. And that particular month, there were only males and myself. And I came away going, oh, I'm so grateful for the women in my group. And their point of view was interesting, but it didn't align with where I was. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just an observation that if you're writing for a particular, in a particular genre or for a particular group, you want to hear back from the group that your work is targeting or speaking to. So it can be a challenge. I would say that if you're interested in starting your own writing circle, you would want to look for some people that are at your level or above, because you want to constantly be striving to improve your work. So I would look for some like-minded people. I've really found, even now, after all these years, I just did a creative writing course this past spring, and I found a new subgroup of writers who are very interested in working with one another, just online. Just, can I send you my work? And so it's really great to plug in courses, but also you could post an ad or look for fellow writers in other areas. But I think that the most important thing to start is to find at least one other person, and then together pool your resources and begin to look at who might be interested in either your genre of writing or just in general and being part of a writing group. The group I'm with now, I think it's so important to say, I don't think that two of us have the same writing style, and I don't think we have the same interest or genre of writing. It's phenomenal being part of a group where 8 different people and 8 very different styles of writing come together each month to edit and critique and support. It's a really uplifting and positive environment. So
I think the advantages of having a writing circle or writing community are a combination of having a community, having people in your life who actually understand what writing is all about, and the fact that you feel this need to do it. But it also gives you the sense of accountability too, that good writing circles don't pressure anybody to produce. But if you know that you're going to be meeting every single month or every other month or what have you, you do feel the sense of obligation to continue on with the story that hopefully people within your writing community are actually interested in. And even if it's a case that you want to take a break on one project and want to start another one, I think good writing communities also allow for a certain amount of variety, that you can say that, guys, I'm pausing on this 80,000 word novel. I feel like doing this short story. Would you be willing to read this? And I found that with our community, with our circle rather, people are very amenable to really read anything that you really want to put out there if you're really serious about your writing, which we tend to be. Probably the biggest hiccup with sustaining a writing circle is just having the quorum of people who are always there. And it's not necessarily the case that you're going to have the exact same people, especially like over a certain length of time. And that's understandable. Life happens, unfortunately. So things do stand in the way. So I think that if anybody's interested in like sustaining a writing community, they have to make sure that they have people within, their circle who are committed to long-term projects also. And do take it seriously enough that, there are people who, if they're writing for themselves, they want to make sure that they're constantly writing. If they're writing for publication, that they have certain goals that they want to meet also. To make sure that it's not something that fizzles out of, like 4 or 5 months just because people aren't interested in their writing or they find other communities. It requires a lot of trial and error also, because it might be the case that you want to start something with people but for whatever reason you don't gel, or people can't be committed, or people just have their own very strong opinions, and which might put other people off, whatever the case is. So I think that having that commitment is one thing, having that sense of accountability to your other members of your circle are another thing. but also being open to establishing ground rules that allow for good criticism, constructive criticism, with that combination of criticism and also kindness, and making sure that people do feel comfortable with the group and feel comfortable sharing what they have with the group. And also allowing for a lot of flexibility so that if people, can't make it for a couple of months, they can return. But you do have enough numbers that you have at least 2, 3, 4 people who are always there, who are always reading submissions. I think that the advantage of the Zoom environment that we're all in is that you can still maintain a certain amount of connectivity with people. I don't think there's any substitute for face-to-face. I think that having that personal connection is always there. But then again, if you're sending out submissions via your email and then saying to people, can we meet on Zoom in a week's time, or whatever platform you use, you can still talk to people and still see each other and talk about your submissions too. So I think that technology has really aided and abetted this process, where you don't necessarily need to be in the same space to feel a sense of connection and feel that your work is being valued and actually read. I think the one advantage over having purely in-person writing circles is that if somebody within your circle has to be away or is out of the country or out of the city, or whatever the case may be, you can still have that venue where you can have a distance writing circle and people can still get together in the same cyberspace. Is it the same as in person? No, but I think that it has its advantages, and I think that it's a very valuable substitute. And I think that it shouldn't inhibit people from starting circles in this environment, assuming that you have people who are already committed and can maintain the same ground rules that you would have if you would have in-person sessions. It's like teleworking. The advantage is that you can do a lot of this stuff at home, and assuming that you're comfortable with this, the people in your circle, you can really do it from any place. And I would say that, in lieu of in-person meetings, again, I think the main focus, if you are interested in starting a circle, is finding the people who you do trust, whose opinion you value, regardless of where they are.
Do you belong to a writing group? I'd love to hear about your experiences. Please feel free to comment below. One of the things I struggle most with is getting started. Writing takes a lot of mental and emotional energy. It often leaves me feeling vulnerable. In my next video, I'll share some thoughts and ideas on moving past the blank page and how I move forward with my own writing. Thank you for watching. A special thanks to Maureen Lynch and Saad Omar Khan from the 11th Floor Writers for sharing their thoughts and experiences on the pros and cons of being in a writing group. Happy writing, happy reading.